Hey guys, and welcome back to HARLOW'S Horsey School, and on today's episode I'm going to be teaching you guys how to plait. I've taught myself how to plait, and I've been plaiting for about a year now, and I wouldn't call myself a pro because some of my plaits do come out a little bit suspicious sometimes, but I have learned a few tricks along the way, and I'm actually going to be using blue as my plaiting model today as we're going to our first ever show tomorrow, which is dressage. So I'm going to be showing you how to do a few different types of plaits today and also quarter marks. I am pretty obsessed with quarter marks, I'm not going to lie. I think they look so just clean. They look like clean girl vibes, but like clean horse vibes. I'm going to show you guys what you need for plaiting up and for doing quarter marks. So you're obviously going to need either plaiting bands, and I don't mind the loose wild plaiting bands, my bag snapped. So this is like my plaiting band box now that I also keep all of my stuff in. So you're going to need some plaiting bands, and if you want to, you can do it one of two ways. You can plait up with bands, which I personally find scary because I did that once. I practiced in the arena and all my plaits fell out. I would not recommend doing it with bands unless they're really, really secure, because I feel like they're going to snap out. So I always do mine with thread, and then I've also got the Smart Grooming Perfect, oh there's a wasp, sorry. I've got the Smart Grooming Perfect Plaits. This is amazing as it gives the mane a tacky feel, because whenever I'm plaiting up I don't wash their mane, I only wash their body, obviously unless it's really, really dirty, but I won't conditioner it. I'll just use just any shampoo really, because I want the mane to be a little bit more greasy so it's easier to grip, because if it's quite silky and like clean, it's quite slippery. But this is amazing for making the mane nice and not greasy but nice and tacky. A plaiting wax is super handy, especially on show days when you've plaited overnight and then in the morning you get to the show and your plaits are a little bit wispy. You can just wax it right down. It's absolutely a lifesaver, that stuff. Obviously if you're using thread you're going to need a needle. You're also going to need some scissors. These are proper plaiting scissors. They're quite small, they're easy to cut the mane and stuff, like the thread through the mane. A mane brush, especially if your pony's got a bit of a thicker, longer mane. And this is not an essential, but I do absolutely love this. This is from Smart Grooming. You can get it from GS Equestrian, and you can keep all of your needles in it and they don't get lost because they stay in there. So when you come to find your needles, they don't stab you, because I don't know how many times I've stabbed myself with my needles going in there with all the plaiting bands looking for my needles, and then I'm like, ow! But this is amazing. I absolutely love this. I love that it's a little rosette as well. I think it's super, super cute. And you're also going to want an unpicker when you come to take your plaits out. And then for quarter marks, you're going to want a quarter marks spray or a coat shine. I prefer to use both actually, as I find the coat shine makes the coat really shiny, especially when you're finished. And the quarter marks holds the quarter mark spray holds the quarter marks in. Just it's almost like a bit of a horsey hairspray, I like to think of it. And then you're going to need a quarter marks brush. If you're doing quarter marks, you want a much more of a stiffer, that's the word. You want a stiffer brush that really persuades the hair into the direction that you want it to go. But this is all that you need to learn how to plait, and hopefully by the end of this vlog you're going to know how to plait your pony up in a few different ways. So let's get started. I'm going to get my Perfect Plaits spray, wax, my plaiting comb and my plaiting band box. So first step, guys, is just to brush your mane through. Unless your pony's got a very long mane, like Rolo for instance, and it needs a bit of detangler, I would try and steer away from detangler as much as possible, because I feel like detangler makes their mane or their tail really silky and shiny, which I mean is brilliant. I mean it's doing the job, but for plaiting it's not the best. Good boy. Right, so now that's all brushed through. And what I normally do is I normally bath my pony's mane, good boy, the day before I want to plait, so it's got that time to be a bit greasier, especially if it's white and they get quite dirty. So this is the first step. You want to coat your mane in Perfect Plaits spray or any sort of plaiting spray. I've tried a few and this is my favourite one. So I'm just going to spray it all along the mane. I don't like to get it too wet, but I like to get it wet enough that I know that there's loads of product on the mane. So I like to just comb it through as well, so it's gone all on the underneath of the mane as well. And now Blue does have a bridle path, which I find easier to work with, so then you're not having to try and plait under the head collar or the bridle. I've got a little step here now, which is super handy for plaiting, because then I can keep my bands down there. So I'm just gonna make sure it's very knot free, and then I'm gonna start. So because I'm doing dressage plaits, I'm gonna make them a bit bigger because, I mean, dressage plaits are quite poofy. So I'm gonna start from his bridle path, and then I'm gonna cut my plaits off right at the very end of the comb, so the plaits are a little bit bigger, and then I'm just gonna swoop it back and pin it in. You can actually use a claw clip to do that. And then what I do is I grab 2 fingers to section it off as even as I can, like that. And then when you're plaiting, you want to make sure your plaits are really tight, so they look nice and neat, and then they're not gonna fall out. So, Blue, if your pony's a little bit fidgety, then you're just gonna have to kind of work with it. But if you've got things like cross ties or whatever, I'd really recommend putting your pony in them so they're not as fidgety with their head. I normally plait inside, but it's better lighting outside to film. So I'm just gonna work with it today and hope the plaits turn out like they usually do, otherwise I'm gonna catfish you all. So just plait it down as far as you can go down the mane. So I'm probably gonna cut it off about there. It's not the tightest plait ever, but it's the tightest I can do. If your pony's mane is quite silky anyways, then just put a bit of wax on the root and all the way down the plait, or the mane, and then it's a bit easier to work with. So you just need to repeat that the whole entire way down the mane, and then, well, I'm gonna do that now, and then after, I'm gonna show you the next step. So all of the braids are done, and I did actually alter the sizes of the plaits. I made them slightly bigger here because his mane is a little bit thinner, and then here, like these 3, I had to make a little bit smaller again, especially these 2. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over each of the plaits at the root and then down the plait with a little bit of my Perfect Plaits spray. This helps, I find, just to hold the plaits in a little bit, especially because I'll show us tomorrow morning, I find, because it dries a little bit more crusty, but it doesn't like look crusty, it just dries a bit like hairspray. So I find it just helps the plaits to stay in longer. And then at the root of the hair, I like to get my plaiting wax. I like to just wax the top of the braids down to keep them really secure overnight, like that. This happens a little bit. You've just got some little baby hairs, they can't really fit into the plait, so they've just got to be let free, I guess. And then this bit, because we're doing dressage tomorrow and his saddle pad's kind of going to come up to about here, I don't have to worry about this. But if you were doing showing or working hunter where you've got to take your tack off and then do your conformation, you would need to incorporate that into a little braid. So now time for the fun bit, well, in my opinion, the actual rolling the plaits up and then securing them in. I normally use about this much thread because I find I can get 2, maybe 3 plaits sewn with this much thread. So I'm going to take my needle, I'm going to put it through, and then you can do it like this, so then because you like to do it like this sometimes, don't you? So then you've got 2 bits there, but I find that it comes undone, so I put it all the way through and then I tie a knot at the end so it stays nice and secure. Good boy, Blue. I think the flies are bothering him. And then I normally do about 2 or 3 knots. There's no knot on the end of the thread, that is just plain, but there's a knot that's tying the thread to the needle. So before you actually sew it up, what I like to do is I like to get this with the little wispy bits at the bottom, and then I like to fold it up like that. I'm just going to show you that again in case you didn't get a good angle because Blue is moving. So you're going to get the bottom bit and then literally just tuck it up and then put a band over it so then it stays in place. It doesn't matter if there's a few wispies poking out the sides because you're not really going to see that. It's just these little baby tufts at the end that you're going to see. So then now that it looks like that, you can start threading. Just for the purpose of the filming, I've very sadly taken Blue's hay net away, but he has had the whole entire day in the field, so he's not hungry, I promise you. He has a big breakfast and a big dinner. So I'm gonna go up the plait. He says I'm still gonna move, now you've taken it away. And then you're gonna pull, look, he's giving me the absolute side eye. All the way through till about there. And then you're gonna go down. And you're gonna do this about 2 or 3 times. So that secures the needle in. And then we're going up through the plait again. And then down through the end. And then once you've got your thread like this, you're going to go up through the very top, right touching, not touching the scalp of your pony, but very close. Sorry, Blue. And then you're going to pull it up like that, and then it creates a little dreadlock. So basically it's half folded right now, and this bit here is securing it in place because that's under there. And then you're gonna hold it in place, not squeezing your plait though, because that'll squish it. You're gonna go back through the top, making sure you also go through the bottom. Back through like that. Then you're gonna go under, up there, and then down again. And then you're going to go through the bottom and the top, pulling that plait up into a nice little ball. And then you're going to secure it there, making sure that's nice and the thread is nice and tight. And you're going to go back through the plait. You can just go through the middle of it now. If it gets stuck, you can just give it a little tug and it should come through most of the time. And then to the side, just in all directions, really making sure it's very secure. And you're just going to do that over and over and over again, just to make sure that plait is not going anywhere. There we go. Just like that, and that is pretty secure. So we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to go up behind the plait to just get rid of those wispies. I'm going to secure it with a band. Then we're going to get our thread. We're going to go up, down, up, and then down again. And then you're going to go back through the top of the plait, getting it nice and central, and then you're just going to pull it up, and then if there aren't any wispies, you can just tuck it up like that. But there we go. Blue. There we go. And then I'm going to pull that nice and tight. And then I'm going to go back through the middle of the plait. I hope I'm like using the right terminology for all of this and I'm not confusing you. And then we're going to go up again, down again, and then you're going to go through the bottom as well as the top of it.
Being careful.
Yes.
Not to get the pony.
Yes, and you want to make sure you're holding it nice and tight, the plait, but you're not squishing it. And then once it's all secured at the top, you're going to go, and you're just going to do that back and forth thing about 1,000,000 times until you feel relaxed that your plait's not going anywhere. And then we're just going to cut that off, and there we go. We've got 2 lovely plaits. And guys, do not get disheartened if your plaits don't look how you envisioned them to look first time, because my plaits looked awful when I first started plaiting. But plaiting is a lot harder than it looks, you know, with what I've found. And, you know, any free time that I've ever had, I've just practiced. Like if I've just been riding at home, I've plaited, you know, practiced plaiting up just for my little ride at home, so I could just practice, I guess, and make sure my plaits were secure, because, you know, every time you plait up, you're getting better and better and better. And eventually you'll just be able to do it with your eyes shut. I mean, I'm probably not at that stage yet. And then you get to a stage where you can do different sizes of plaits. So I can do like big dressage plaits, like bigger than this. And then I can do tiny little show pony plaits. And then I can do like worker plaits, because there's loads of different variations of plaits. Like there's not just one standard size. So yeah, I do quite enjoy it, and it is quite therapeutic. Like if I'm plaiting up for eventing or whatever in the barn, I'll like have my little music on, I'll put whatever pony I'm plaiting up in the wash bay, and then I'll just, you know, get plaiting away. And I do think learning how to plait up is a very good equestrian skill to have, because if you want to compete, especially if you've got a non-native breed, like for example like a thoroughbred or more of like a warm blood type, or a Welsh, then you'll need to know how to plait if you want to go dressage, eventing, and even for show jumping. I think it's optional to plait up for show jumping. Yep, you need to know how to plait up for hunting. And then if you've got like a riding school pony and you want to do any showing, or if you've got a part bred Welsh and you want to do showing, you need to know how to plait up and do quarter marks for that as well. So basically, unless you're going to be a happy hacker, you're going to need to know how to plait up at one point in your life. And you're probably thinking, well, Bluezo Connemara, he's a native breed. Why do you still need to plait him up? It's because he's more of like a sporty type. So, for example, when we took Panda and Dandy dressage, we didn't plait them up because they're eventing because they're proper natives, aren't they?
A lot of hair.
Yeah. Like those plaits would look like footballs if I tried to plait them up. And some ponies like Rolo will never have to have these plaits because he's got such a long mane and he's a proper native. But if you do want to plait up your darty, I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute. I'm going to show you this for the last time, guys, and then I'm going to plait him all up so you guys can see the finished result. I do probably think I could have gone a bit bigger with the plaits, but I'm actually glad I didn't, because he's a native, they don't need to be massive. So I'm going to go up through the middle and just pull that tight. There's a few wispies there, so I'm just going to tuck them in. So then I'm going to go back through the top and bottom of my plait, pull that nice and tight, and then I'm going to go back up and then down, and then back through the bottom of my plait as well as the top to curl it up and create a nice little ball. There we go. So I'm going to go down and up, and then this is just that really repetitive bit where we go up and down the plait as many times as your heart desires. And I've always wanted to do a really in-depth plaiting video, because I learned how to plait on TikTok, and when I was learning how to plait, I was seeing all these like tutorials, and they were helpful and all, but they were so quick, like you just didn't know what was going on, why it was going on, and how it was going on. So I hope this is helpful, and I hope this isn't as fast-paced and times lap as, you know, the average plaiting video. But there we go. Voila. Le plait. So here we have it, guys. The plaits are plaiting. I think they look really good. And every time I plait up, I always have a favourite plait. And I'm going to say either this one or this one are my favourites.
Which one?
This one or this one.
Okay.
But because Blue is sleeping in these overnight, because we've got to go early for our show tomorrow, I am going to band them up so they stay nice and secure, because I don't want these to fall apart during the night, because he does like to lie down a lot. He doesn't necessarily roll, but he likes to lie down flat out, doesn't he?
Head on the banks.
Head on the banks. lots of poo stains with blue, so I want to make sure that they're really, really secure. And then depending on what these look like in the morning, I can either take the bands out, keep them in, or put more in. We've got 3 options. So I'm now going to plait Blue's forelock, and I'm not going to leave this in overnight. He's actually not having a plaited forelock tomorrow because he's wearing an ear bonnet, so you're not going to see it. But I thought it might just be good to show you guys, because I always struggled to learn how to do it. I feel like there were no good videos, so I'm going to try and make this as accurate as I can. So here we go. So you're just going to need a band for the minute, and you're going to get 2 sections at the top. Try and make them as even as you can and as like clean section as you can, just like that. And then I like to just tuck them behind as is while I get a middle section. So you need 3 sections, guys, and then you're just going to plait it like this for 1, and then you're going to keep adding to it each section, so they just automatically just all become intertwined with the plait. And he's very good for this, actually. He's very, very still. Oh, I jinxed it. And each time you're just picking up a new piece of hair each side. It doesn't have to be a big bit, but you just want to make sure that each time that you're plaiting, like going over, like folding it over, you want to make sure that you're collecting a little bit of hair to add to your plait. So then this bit, I'll just add that all in. And then I'll just add that all in there. And then once you get to this point where there's no sections left, you're just going to plait all the way down the forelock, like this. And then from here on, it's very similar to the mane. You're just going to plait as far as you can down. And then you're just going to fold it up exactly like the mane, no different. And then you're going to secure it with a band. And then you're going to grab your needle. I personally like to use a smaller needle when I'm doing the forelock, as I find it's a little bit easier because you're working with less hair. So here is my, and you can do literally the exact same thing for now. You're going to go up, and down. So that's nice and secure. And then you're going to go right through the bottom of the plait, exactly like with the mane. And then that's going to pull up. And then what I like to do is I like to get the end of it and then just wiggle it up in there a little bit, so it kind of just slots in. And then you're going to go back through, being careful not to prick your pony. Then back up through there, and then down again. And then once you've got it like this, you're going to go back through the top of the plait. So your needle should come out about here. It's quite high up. And then because my hand's quite slippery now. And then you're just going to help it curl up like this. And then you're going to put it tight. And then you're going to go back down through the plait. And then pull the needle out. And then exactly like with the mane, you're just going to go up and down until you feel relaxed that that's not going to move anywhere. And then because you've gone in, up, like up, down through the plait so many times, you don't need to knot it up or anything. You can literally just cut it as close as you can to the mane so it's nice and flush. And then there you go. It's a little bit saggy in some areas because I was trying to do it like slowly. Normally I'm quite quick and neat doing it, but because I've taken my time to try and demonstrate it, it's a little bit saggy. But there we go. So this is my could not live without product. This is a Lycra suit. This is the best thing for keeping your plaits secure, dust free, and also if you've got a freshly bathed pony, it's brilliant to keep away the dust as well. So you can get these in all different colours, but me and Mum chose pastel pink. We've had this for a few years now.
Purple.
Oh yeah, not pink, purple. I've been plaiting for too long. So you can get ones, because this is a full bodysuit. This covers the whole entire face, under the belly, and the whole entire bottom. So what I like to do is I like to get it all through my arm. So you've got the zip there, and then you've got the eye hole and the ears hole there. And then I like to just make a little gap, so then they know that they're not just getting, you know, blinded. So I like to pop that over the head, and then gently, very, very gently, because we spent a long time on them plaits. Sorry, Blue, he's very good with this. And then you want to try and find the ear holes. There's a lot of holes going on here, but you want to try and find the right holes for the right body parts. So the eyes are lower down, they're lower than the ears, basically. So, there we go. So I like to just kind of pop it on and then fill in the holes with limbs. And then you're going to gently put it over the plaits and like slide it down, being careful not to ruin your plaits. And then you're going to zip it up. And then you're going to put it over the rest of the body, so it comes all the way down to his bottom. And then it's got a little belly cover up. Here we go. So it keeps the belly nice and clean, which is good for Blue because he lies down a lot. I will say though, these aren't poo stain proof. I'd say they're about a pee proof, hay, dust, all of that stuff, they're that proof. But they're not poo stain proof, sadly. I'd love to see a poo stain proof one because they are absolutely amazing. And this, you just wrap it around the leg, so like here, and then you like intertwine them so they're all locked in, basically. So here we have it, guys, one plaited pony, all snuggled up ready for bed. Because it is summer at the minute, he is just going to wear this, because if he's got a poo stain in the morning, I'll just scrub it off. I'm not too bothered, but I want to make sure his plaits stay nice and dust free. Hey, because it takes longer to replait than it does to scrub a poo stain off. I'm saying from experience. So guys, it's now time to do quarter marks. So I'm going to go get popcorn and I'm going to show you how to do quarter marks with him. So onto the quarter marks now. We've got my lovely model popcorn here, and the reason I didn't model Blue is because it's a lot harder to see quarter marks on greys, especially really light greys like Blue. So I'm going to do my quarter marks on popcorn because he's a lot darker. So first of all, you're going to go in with a coat shine. This is from Supreme Products. It's just a normal coat shine. So I'm just going to spray that all over his back end. I get all of my Supreme products from GS Equestrian. They have so much stuff on there, literally everything, lots and lots, like 99% of my plaiting stuff is also from GS Equestrian, the smart grooming stuff as well. And it's absolutely amazing, and I can get you guys money off with my discount code, which is on the screen now, which gets you money off the whole entire GS Equestrian website, gets you 5% off all your orders, and they sell everything. So anything you can think of that you're missing around the yard, they sell. So I definitely recommend checking them out. So I'm going in with my coat shine first of all, and this isn't like a quarter marks coat shine or anything. It just is a coat shine. So you're gonna make sure that's all evenly covered across your pony's bottom. And this is an actual quarter marks brush. It's really stiff. I've had it for a while, so it looks a little bit beaten up, but this is from this brand. I'm not gonna pronounce the name. So you're gonna make sure you've brushed all your coat shine in, and then you're gonna get some quarter marking spray. And I actually didn't think this would make much of a difference first, but oh, I was so wrong. This is absolutely incredible. And even when I do put quarter marks on, like Blue and Panda, they still come up really, really well, especially when it's sunny. So I'm just gonna get him to stand up even a sec because he's eating all Blue's scraps. Come on, put your left. There we go, that's good enough. I'll take that. So then we're just gonna give the bottle a little shake, and we're just gonna spray this all over Popcorn's bottom. Yeah, you. He's like, why am I getting quarter marks at this time of the night, Mum? Where am I going? Evening performance? Popcorn, 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 popcorn. There's nothing in that bucket, I promise you. I'm putting that there as a barrier. Okay, so I'm gonna do more of like a show hunter pony quarter marks. So for popcorn, I'd get 3 blocks down here. So I'm gonna start off around here. So I'm gonna have my first block there, my second block there, and then my third block there. So you need quarter marks. Say for instance, if you're going eventing, dressage, you wouldn't necessarily need them for show jumping because you don't really need to plait up for show jumping. So that is a nice even popcorn. Do you want to move around anymore? You're making it, he's like, well, there's a bucket there. Right, do you want a drink? I've given him a hay net in hopes that he stands still now. Honestly, could he have moved any more? So basically, I haven't even explained what quarter marks are. So quarter marks are basically when you're just changing the direction of the fur on your horse's body. And I think they're just like, well, for decoration, they look pretty nice and they look like well dressed. Do you know what I mean? Looks like you're well presented and you've cared about your pony's presentation. So that's one block. I'm going to try and get it as even as I can for the other blocks. It doesn't matter how far you come down or how high you go up because we're going to cut the tops and the bottoms off in a minute. So then I'm going to start there, trying to get them a nice good width apart. It's going to be even. I like to go over it a few times. And the amazing thing about this, guys, is if you do go wrong, you can literally just brush it over and start again. So I'm going to get one more block on here, because if I get 2 more, his other block would be on his tail. So I'm just going to get one more on here. And I'm going to try and get it a similar width apart as the other block, so it looks nice and even. I'd say that's pretty good. There we go. So those look pretty even. They don't have to be perfect, but if you want them to be, then just be prepared to spend a little bit more time on them. So then you're going to cut them off. I normally cut them off because they've got, this is their pelvis. So I normally cut it off around there. So and then now just do a nice straight line, a bit on a diagonal really. So what we're left with at the minute is basically 3 rectangles, which some people call blocks, and then we're going to do the rest of the pattern. So there you go, and you can create these blocks in a lot of different ways. There's also quarter marking combs that you can get, and I'll show you guys how to use those in a minute. So I'm just going to spray this area here, because here is where we're going to do something called shark's teeth, and they do look a little bit like shark's teeth. So I'm going to start by going up, and then we're going to touch the line where the blocks are, and then we're going to go down, well, across, and then we're going to go up again, meeting that first quarter mark, and then we're going to go down again, and then we're going to go up and down, and then up. And then when you pull it here, especially if you come down here, your pony's skin starts to wrinkle, you can just pull it back a little bit and it makes it a little bit easier. And then there we go. It's a bit easier, it looks a little bit clearer if you come from behind. And then you just brush away this bit, so that's like nice and plain. And then you come from behind and then you just round it off at the back. So get that nice and straight, and then there we go. That is just the normal blocks. And then what you want to do is, depending on if you want to do this pattern on the other side, but I'm not, so I'm just going to go down the middle. So I like to line it up with their withers, depending on how straight they're standing, and just get my brush and just brush directly down to the dock of their tail, so it's nice and straight, and then you're left with a really crisp quarter mark design. And there's a lot of designs that you can do. You can do like a checkered board. You can also do like a crisscross. A lot of eventers, you can do like a crisscross. This is personally my favourite design. I think it looks really neat and tidy. And for dressage tomorrow, this is the design I'm going to do on popcorn and blue, as I really like it. Come from this direction, because then you can see like on the light. I think that really looks really nice. So I'm going to brush this off, guys, and I'm going to show you another design. So if you want to take any screenshots now, this is your opportunity. And I would do this anytime. I'm going to brush this off now. I would do this anytime, like if I was just grooming my ponies in the stable after they'd come in, if I was about to ride, after I ride, after they'd had a bath, while I was bathing, because I used to lather up the area and then do my quarter marks with the soap there. I literally used to just do it all of the time, and then you just become, it becomes easier and easier each time you do it. So those are the ways that I kind of learned, and no one's actually taught me how to do my quarter marks. I've actually taught myself how to do it, which I'm pretty impressed with. So this is from Supreme Products on the GS Equestrian website, and this is amazing because there's 3 different heads that you can do, and they all go into the little handle. So if you're doing like show pony, and like depending on what size blocks you want to create, there's loads of different settings basically. So this one I'm going to do now is a different design, and it's basically going to look like a little mini checkered board on your pony's bum, but it's in like a diamond shape. So it'll be like from there, and it will come down to like around that sort of area. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That one's a little bit narrow, but I'm just going to leave it because otherwise I've got to rub them all out. And then, so there's 7 along there. So then now you're going to do 1 in between, popcorn. You're going to do 1 in between every top 2. So you're going to go down a number each time. And then you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and then 1. So it looks like a little mini checkered board. There we go. And then you're going to do the exact same as the other one. You're going to do your shark's teeth. So this comes down a little bit now, and you're not going to round that off, you're just going to leave that there. So, but you're going to go right up to it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'll just get a little mini one there. But you're still going to round it off at the back. And then because it doesn't come so far up, you don't really need to come that high up, but I like to just go right along the top of it like that to make it nice and crisp. And there you have it, a little mini checkered board. So this, I'm going to do a running plait on Rolo now, and this comes in handy if you've got a pony with a really long mane like Rolo and it's not possible to plait their mane up, because if I was to plait Rolo up, they would look like he's got, you know, 2 massive footballs on his head.
Basketballs.
Yeah, so I'm going to use my perfect plaits on him as well, because we're still plaiting and you need that bit of extra grip, especially with a mane as long as his. Rolo left the chat, come back here. And because I'm plaiting his whole entire mane, we do need to drench everywhere. But I actually do plait his mane on a hot day, especially if Harlan's riding him. It keeps him cool, and it just lets his neck air. Right, you're going to stand still now. Right, so you're going to start it off exactly like how you would a normal plait, just a little bit bigger. So that's a little bit too big. So just like that, and you're going to section it. Rolo, come here. And you're going to just section it into 3 equal pieces like how you would a normal plait. And then you're just going to do your first plait essentially. You're just going to start it off, and then, excuse me, Hola. Yoo-hoo. And then, as I was saying, you're going to grab another section. Right, I think Bro needs the hay net.
He's got it.
Yeah, he has got it, but he doesn't want it. And then you're going to add to that bit, so it's going to look a bit like this. And then you're going to just plait it up like so. And you want to keep it quite tight. Oh my gosh, yes, I know, I love you. You want to keep it quite tight to the top of his neck so it doesn't end up sagging all the way down to there. I mean, if you want to do that, then you can, but I prefer to keep it tight up to the neck so their necks can keep nice and airy. Basically, you're just picking up a section of the mane, like you're just blending it in almost like that every time you get to the mane. And it took me a little while to learn how to do this because it's not the most easiest exercise, but I actually learned how to start plaiting on dolls, which I think was the best way.
You've been able to plait from, I think, the age of 3.
Yeah.
You've always been able to plait.
I used to play hairdressers with my Barbies, and that is how I started off. So if you only go to a riding school and you've got a little sister, and after school, when you've done all your homework, you want to have a little practice on your plaits, just go steal one of your sister's Barbies.
The popcorn toy.
Yeah, those are really good actually. I've plaited them up a few times. But yeah, I'd recommend the Lemure toy ponies because they're like real neck shape, I guess. And if you're going to get a Lemure toy pony, you've obviously got to get the popcorn one. So I'm about halfway down his neck now, and your plait should start to look somewhat like this. So it looks a little bit different to your average pony space buns, but I think it looks equally just as good. Because I mean, it's not as secure, like it's a little bit flexible, but I do think it still looks really nice. And if you've got a pony with a really long mane and they have to be plaited, I mean, you could embrace the massive plaits that you're going to create with the really long mane. That's probably going to take forever to plait. Or you could just do this, which is a lot quicker than doing the plaits that I did on Blue. And it also looks really nice. I think it's really creative, and especially for showing, I think it stands out quite a bit. But you don't get many ponies in showing do this, but there's not many classes where natives can be plaited up, but there are some classes that Harlan's going to do on Rolo where they do have to be plaited up, so this is what Rolo is going to have. And the beauty of this plait is it's so quick to do, so on the show morning you don't have to do it overnight.
Just before they go in.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Literally, you just got to have a cup. Rolo. Roro. Please cooperate. But the class, like you could literally, right before you go in the ring, you could just whip this in their hair, which is amazing. So I've got to the end now, there's no more hair to grab. So I'm just gonna plait it through like this, just all the way down as far as I can go. What I like to do is the exact same thing I do with my other plaits, just not with any thread. And then I'm just going to roll it up just like this, like a little bun. And you can secure this with thread, but I'm just going to do it with a band today. And here we go, guys, you've got a running plait, which I think is really good. I normally would make this a little bit neater and I'd tie it up with thread, but I've just done it with a little band today, and I think it looks pretty good. It shows off all their neck, keeps it nice and cool. So guys, that is it for another episode of Harlow's Horsey School. I really, really hope you've enjoyed. I am off to go and plait popcorn up now. Do you hear that with Rolo? He's shoved his hay net into the corner and he's now itching his bum on it. It was a little bit of a longer vlog today than usual, but there was so much to get through, and I want to make sure I covered everything in today's video because I always get so many questions when I'm at shows and in the comments about, you know, what I do to get my ponies ready for their show. So I really think, and I really, really hope this has helped you guys. And if you've got any suggestions, you know, that you want to see of my new series, then please comment them down below because I'm completely open to ideas because I just want to, you know, help educate you guys, and I really, really hope you enjoy this series. But I've got to plait Popcorn up now. I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did with Blue, put his hood on, and then off to bed because I've got to get up very early tomorrow, maybe to scrub some poo stains, but also I've got to pack the lorry. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video and I hope you find it useful, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.